Hi there, Manda here with the new moon in Pisces happening on April 17th. And this is the second new moon we're having in Pisces because we're using the true sky, true sidereal astrology, which uses the sky in its totally natural form. And Pisces, being a very large constellation, approximately 42 degrees or so, has enough space in it to have two new moons because the moon cycle is only 29 days. So our last new moon was towards the beginning of Pisces, and this new moon is at 38 degrees of Pisces towards the end. So if you want to know where this is happening in your chart, if you want to get more specific information about which area of your life this new phase is coming in, this new energy, you can take a look at your chart, and down below in the description there's a free chart calculator, and you can take a look and see which houses Pisces occupies, specifically the latter part of Pisces. Because it's such a large constellation, most likely it will be in two different houses in your chart. So you can do that if you want to take a look and get more specific information about the areas of life that this new energy is coming in. But we have a lot going on in this new moon. It's very powerful, very spiritual new moon. We've got 7 planets, including the luminaries, in Pisces and making a lot of various aspects to the outer planets. And with all this energy in Pisces, it's a very mystical time, very deeply inner time. The energies that are coming down from the celestial orbs are giving us an opportunity to really get in touch with some very deep, mysterious experiencing of ourselves and of life. And it's also a time of completions, even though it's a new moon, because Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac. To me, this is the end of the lunar year, and there's a lot of energetic completions, sort of pieces of the puzzle coming together, and a deep connection with our destiny and with our soul and our essential nature that comes in with all of this Pisces energy. And of course, whenever we're looking at one sign, we always want to look at the opposite sign because that's the balancing principle here. And with all this energy in Pisces, we're also working with a lot of Virgo energy to help balance all this water. And Virgo is more about the immediate, the practical. It also has a lot to do with the mind and the mental process of analysis, which, when we have all of this energy in Pisces, that aspect of our experience, the mental aspect, may not be so clear, may not be so easy to navigate. But the balance here to me is grounding in the body, grounding in practical daily life, and finding our bliss in small things, in the moment, in this moment. Because to me, Pisces really has to do with our bliss nature, our essential nature, and our natural self. And whenever you're aligned with your true nature, with your essential nature, you're naturally blissful, because that's what it is to be yourself, to be your natural self. I mean, if you look at nature, nature is naturally blissful. It's harmonious. It's in tune. It's in sync with the whole. The trees are not trying to be separate. They don't have their own goals, their own ambitions. The animals, the birds, they're in harmony with life, in oneness with life. And to me, this is the opportunity with this new moon, is to come into a much deeper level of being connected with our essential nature, with life, and the experiencing of that as bliss. And what can get in the way of experiencing that is the Virgo energy. Even though it's a balancing force, it can also be an imbalancing force. And the way that Virgo can take us out of our bliss nature is by being identified with the analytical mind, by being identified with the body, with the physical, with the practical, and that distracting us from our true nature. And to me, the balancing of this is to be in the middle with both, to accept both, that life is this deep mystical experience, adventure into the unknown of who we are and into the unknown of the universe, one moment at a time. Pisces is about transcendence, and transcendence is going beyond identifications, going beyond ideas and programs and goals and attachments, and allowing ourselves to relax into the flow of what is happening in the moment, and keeping our awareness in present time experience. And when we're doing that, if we can relax into whatever is happening in our lives, there's a great opportunity here with this new moon to find a much deeper level of acceptance and relaxation with life as it is, without analyzing it or trying to figure it out or going into the past or the future, but just being here with what is and relaxing into that. To me, that is experiencing bliss. We have that choice. We have that freedom. We also have the freedom to keep ourselves enslaved with identifications. We have the freedom to cause ourselves to suffer through going to the mind for answers that the mind can never give us. So there's a great opportunity with this new moon, with all this Pisces energy, to use the positive aspects of Virgo to balance ourselves so that we can really have this experiencing of the depths of life, of the depths of who we are, and to relax and go with the flow with it, and to be in the moment with it, and allow ourselves to step out of time, to step out of the details, to step out of the identifications and the shoulds and the should nots and all the ideas that have accumulated on top of our essential nature. So when we look at the chart here, we can see, if we look at the left side of the chart here, just to give a rundown of where everybody is, we can see that at the top left of the chart, we have Pluto there in Capricorn at 4 degrees. And then moving down, we have the North Node at 11 degrees of Aquarius. And the North Node is really, it's opening doors to the bigger picture for us, to sharing ourselves in a way that is aligned with our essential nature. It's bringing us into contact with the bigger picture of existence and opening up, because the North Node in Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, and Uranus is in Taurus right now. So the ruler of Aquarius being Uranus, this has a lot to do with sudden realization, sudden awakening to who we are, to the true nature of life, and to our true nature, and to our unique contribution in the world. So it's a very powerful time, and with all this Pisces energy combined with this North Node in Aquarius, it's really giving us a chance to see the bigger picture from a very mystical perspective, where we may not have the answers, we may not have the knowledge, but we have the inner knowing, we have the inner connection. And this is very much about the inner experience. That's why Pisces rules mysticism and oneness. It's the last sign in the zodiac, so it's the final lesson, you could say, or the final initiation after going through the whole zodiac cycle. So then if we keep moving down, we have Neptune at 13 degrees of Pisces, conjunct Mercury at 13 degrees of Pisces. So with this new moon, there may be some very interesting expressions through our communication of this mystical experience. Because Neptune in Pisces is at home. This is a very powerful, the most powerful place, in my understanding, for Neptune to be. And to have it conjunct to Mercury there at 13 degrees, this could be a very interesting new moon for initiating some mystical expression. It could come through any form of communication, through art, through speaking, through writing, through just creation, the creative process, a very creative energy coming in. And then we have Mars there at 16 degrees of Pisces. So this is adding energy to this creative process. And it could be an inner process also. It doesn't have to be an outer process. We may have access to much deeper connection with our own true nature. That's why I say this lineup here, this is a very spiritual, mystical lineup. And it's giving us this look deeper beyond the outer experience, beyond the circumference. And with Mars and Mercury and Saturn really in the mix, this is a very interesting balance between our intuitive nature, our expression, our assertive energy, our action, what we feel, what we feel driven to do, to create, how to use our energy. And then Saturn there, giving us a sense of our own responsibility for our own experience. That we do have a choice to go with the flow, to trust life, to trust our own instincts, our own intuition, and to take responsibility for our own experience of who we are, and not give that away to something outside, or blame something outside, or get lost in the Virgo energy, analyzing ourselves or analyzing situations. This is a feeling new moon. This is about dropping deeper than thought, and even deeper than feeling, into just the moment, into just being, and even beyond that, into the no mind experience, where the observer and the observed become one. And in that experiencing, the witness is what is mostly present. It's hard for me to put it into words, but you've had experiences where you become one with your experiencing. And like if you're experiencing something really beautiful, music or art or nature or your beloved, in a moment when you become one with that experience, then you transcend both. You become one with the experience. And it's very difficult to put into words. And this is part of the challenge of Pisces, is because it's so mystical, it can be very challenging to express it and to bring it into form. But with Mercury and Mars and Saturn there, they're giving us the help to do that. They're giving us the support to do that. And as we move down, we've got Chiron at 37 degrees of Pisces. And Chiron has to do with our wounded aspects of ourself, of our experience that we may have brought in from other lives, that in this context have to do with our connection to Source directly, our connection to our inner world, to the mystery of life, to life itself. And Chiron is giving us the opportunity to see deeper, beyond patterns, beyond identifications, and to have the experience of relaxing into and accepting ourselves and life exactly the way it is. This is where the healing comes in. This is where the bliss comes in. When you can accept the polarities that life offers, that life always brings polarities, experiences, and that if you reject the sadness and the anger and the confusion and the doubt, and you only want the bliss and the joy and the beauty, then you're putting yourself in a situation where you're going to be fighting against half of reality, and that's not going to bring bliss and relaxation. So if you really want to go deeper into your blissful nature with Pisces, it's giving you the opportunity to include everything in your experiencing of yourself and life. And the secret to it is to be in the present moment with it. Because as with Virgo, if we go too much into analysis and trying to figure things out with the mind, we step out of the present moment in our imagination. And if we're stepping into ideas of how we're supposed to be, or how life is supposed to be, or how the world is supposed to be, we've stepped into resistance. We've stepped into fighting against reality, and we're not going to win that battle. So the secret here is to be compassionate, to be inclusive, to relax, to go with the flow, to allow, to be in a more receptive mode with life and with ourselves. And most importantly, to be in present time. So below Chiron there, we have the sun and the moon conjunct, which is a new moon when the sun and moon are in the same position at 37, 38 degrees approximately together. And so our conscious mind and our emotions are natural expression and our inner needs are aligned here in Pisces. So there's a really beautiful opportunity for a deeper harmony with ourselves, a deeper inner harmony that reflects outside through our expression, and an opportunity for a new beginning with ourselves in that area. And as we go further, we have Venus there at 0 degrees of Taurus. And she's moving into one of her home signs, a place where she's very comfortable, very relaxed. And that's beautiful. So that's bringing in a connection to the body, to nature, to the earth, to the cosmos, and giving us an opportunity to look at what we value in present time, from who we are now. And specifically, this will be going on throughout this next lunar month. So from April 18th until May, the new moon in May, which will be around the 16th or 17th of May, and it will be in Taurus, the next new moon. We're going to have the opportunity, through all of this deep experiencing of the mystery of who we are and the mystery of life and the experiencing of ourselves in present time without the analysis and the ideas of how things are supposed to be, but just sinking into the reality, the beauty that life is presenting to us, the challenges that life is presenting to us, whatever they may be, by including them and surrendering and understanding that this is part of life. Our values may change. Venus may give us an opportunity to reevaluate the direction of our lives, the North Node in Aquarius, and give us the opportunity to find more love for who we are, to value ourselves more. And with Uranus there below Venus at 8 degrees of Taurus, to value our uniqueness and our individuality, and to give that more value than maybe we have in the past, to step out of the past. Uranus is about our totally unique individual nature. And the word individual means indivisible. So it's our essential nature that cannot be divided, that is one naturally. And so Uranus is about awakening to this. And it has quite a rebellious quality to it. It's not willing to sacrifice or to pretend or to play games or to become a slave to somebody else's ideas. Uranus wants us to be what we were designed to be, to liberate us from our own enslavement. So it's a beautiful aspect to have Venus and Uranus getting closer to each other there as we move forward with this lunar month. And then Venus is also sextile over to Jupiter, who's at 19 degrees of Gemini. So also an opportunity here to open ourselves to receive new information and to be open to learning and discovery. Jupiter can bring all kinds of beautiful blessings into our lives if we're open, if we're receptive. And Gemini has a lot to do with balancing of our inner duality, you could say, the balancing of polarities, our male and female nature, our yin and yang nature, and giving us an opportunity to bring that into more wholeness with Venus connecting there with that sextile. So all in all, a very powerful new moon cycle for transformation. And when we look at the other aspects, we have the sun and the moon are making a square up there to Pluto. And squares, in this situation, the practical reality, maybe what we've learned from society, society's ideas, what's going on in society, may be challenging us to be relaxed with who we are, with our own essential nature, with our feelings, with our expression. It may be challenging us and giving us an opportunity to go beyond those challenges, to see what we're carrying that keeps us from expressing our individuality, from feeling emotionally relaxed and in harmony with life. With that square, we may see that there are belief systems, things we've been taught. Saturn rules Capricorn, so, you know, ideas from the world, from society, that have kept us from really expressing the sun and experiencing internally the moon, our own true nature. And so there's an opportunity here to go beyond that. And we also have a sextile between Mars, Saturn, Mercury, Neptune, sort of that area with Uranus. So there's also a great opportunity here for innovation, for new ideas, for flashes of insight, for liberation, liberating ourselves, because nobody else can liberate us. We enslave ourselves and we liberate ourselves, because slavery comes through the mind, through the ego, through the idea that we're not okay the way we are, that life is not okay the way it is, and that we have to achieve all these ideals before we can relax and enjoy life. So Uranus is giving us an opportunity with this sextile to innovate that area of ourselves with Mars, Mercury, Neptune, and Saturn, to come into more of a spiritual alignment, you could say, with who we really are and with how we express that energy in our lives, and share ourselves with other people. So some interesting dates to look at coming up in the future will be when the sun moves into Aries, and that's going to be on April 22nd. And then when Venus is conjunct right next to Uranus, which will also be around the same time, the 22nd and the 23rd of April. Be interesting to make a note of that date, the 22nd, 23rd of April, and see what shows up around that time. We also have coming up on May 1st, Chiron will be conjunct Mercury, so could be a very interesting time for exploring what is being healed in us and expressing from a more healed perspective after coming through this very powerful new moon cycle with all of this energy in Pisces. And then Mercury will enter into Aries on May 3rd, bringing a lot more fire and a lot more expression to our communication. But one of the things I wanted to say about this new moon cycle is that it's a really beautiful time to give yourself permission to relax more in this lunar cycle between now and the middle of May, to have more freedom, to give ourselves the the freedom to be in the present, to not have to figure everything out, to spend more time in nature, to spend more time relaxing and giving attention to ourselves and especially to our body, to spend more time grounding and tuning in. So it's a very beautiful, powerful opportunity that's coming up. And as we move past this new moon and all of these energies, everything's going to be moving out of Pisces. So this is really a window of opportunity that we have here to make some very deep contact with ourselves and with the mystery of life, and to give ourselves permission, with Venus moving into Taurus there, to have more love for who we are, to shower more love in our relationships with our body, with other people, with life itself, and to bring in more of a compassionate way of being with ourselves and with life, where we're able to accept the aspects of life, the polarities, the seeming polarities of life, but that if energies are coming up that are challenging, like say anger, for example, that it's an opportunity for us to become aware. Whatever shows up that's challenging, that we resist, that we reject in ourselves or in the world, is an opportunity to step into awareness in that moment and just observe what's happening. And observing awareness is, to me, the most alchemical secret of life. That when you can catch yourself in a moment of being identified, of being in reaction, being in resistance to life, when you can catch that and become aware, it's a magical, transforming experience. It is the transcendence, the awareness, and it immediately brings you into the present moment. It immediately brings you into the spaciousness and out of that mind, that limited mental perspective of the Virgo energy, because Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So Mercury playing such a strong role in this new moon because of its conjunction with Neptune. It's a very powerful month for any meditation, for cultivating a much deeper level of awareness. And awareness brings freedom. Awareness brings bliss. And our bliss potential is directly connected to our choice to be present, to be inclusive, to trust life, to accept life on its own terms, to accept ourselves as we are, and to trust that we've been designed to be exactly who we are, and to love and value ourselves from there. So, thank you for joining me. Thank you for tuning in, and wishing you a really beautiful, deeply mystical, relaxing new moon in Pisces. And until I come back for the next lunar report, just to throw out there that I do personal readings. If you'd like to find out more about what's specifically happening for you at this time through your transits, you can go to my website. It's linked down below in the description. I also do composite readings for relationships and for potential business partnerships, and natal chart readings with the true sky, so that you can get a much deeper insight into who you are, what you brought in this life, and have more harmony within yourself. Because to me, that's what astrology is really about. It's about tuning in to the mystery of who we are and the mystery of life. And everything in the universe is serving. It's all connected. It's all one energy. So we can be reflected through our chart, but it has to be accurate to nature. That's why the true sky system is so powerful, because it's a complete mirror reflection of the natural sky. So that's it for now. Sending out lots of love, lots of bliss, and until next time.